Hello, this is Brian Scuttle with Sonic Cinema. I just got done listening to the guys at Junkfood Cinema talk about South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and it's actually one of the movies that hasn't been accounted for in my class of 1999 series. But I did watch it recently, and hearing them talk about like especially Cargill talking about his experience watching it, it inspired me to do a brief video on my own. This is honestly the best movie of 1999 I saw. There are a lot of fantastic movies in 1999, but South Park still reigns supreme over all of them, and it's because of how properly and how much it nails its satirical points. And I remember the fact that this is about the MPAA, the fact that this is basically about the hypocritical double standards with regards to language versus in sex versus violence. It's that the MPAA has. It's really, that's part of what makes it great, and that's part of what makes it really entertaining. It's funny. I want to say something as far as its release 20 years ago, because this is an experience I really remember vividly, because of the fact that it was such a formative experience for me. It was the first. It was actually the first long form review that I shared with anybody, and so that was big as far as I was concerned. But so the experience of watching the movie, I had watched the TV show off and on for the first couple of seasons. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. So when the movie came out, I was definitely really excited about it, and my mom and I went to go see it together. I was 22 at the time, and this was the first time I got carded for an R-rated movie. Again, I was 21 at the time. I wasn't quite 22. So that was my first time I'd ever gotten carded for an R-rated movie. Not for Pulp Fiction, not for Jackie Brown, not for any number of violent sexual films that I saw over the years. This was the first one, and it's funny, the thing that I remember so vividly about that is because I worked at a movie theater over the summer that year. It was hilarious. And just going to movies, like in a 3-week span of 1999, you had South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut that came out 1 week. You had American Pie that came out the next week. Then you had Eyes Wide Shut that came out the next week. So you have all three of these movies that are very well defined by their genres, by some of the buttons they push, by the ratings that they got. I mean, Eyes Wide Shut was a huge deal with regards to the rating because of what they ended up doing as far as the orgy sequence when it came to the digital people inserted to try and get an R rating. I didn't see American Pie, which I talked about in the recent podcast that I released on it, but I didn't get carded for Eyes Wide Shut, and I did get carded for Blair Witch Project. And I always found it really hilarious that I got carded for South Park. It was a movie that's like, oh yeah, this is a big deal, so, I got carded for it. And then 2 weeks later, I went to the exact same, 3 weeks later, I went to the exact same theater to see Eyes Wide Shut, and I didn't get carded. So, you kind of get a feeling that maybe they enforced the R-rated policy a little bit more with South Park because of what it was going after. And the thing that one of the things I will personally say is somebody who's worked at a movie theater for pretty much my entire adult life at this point. I understand that, like, the box office attendant at the beginning of the movie that says no is supposed to be a joke on the teenagers who run box office. I'm not going to lie. As somebody who has always been very careful to enforce the R-rated policy, it's one of my favorite things to do, and and especially when somebody gets surly about it, and it's like, really, you're kidding me? You're really going to enforce this? It's like, yeah, I'm going to, because I could get in trouble for not enforcing it. So I actually kind of enjoy that, and I understand what Matt and Trey are doing, because it's a geeky teenager and stuff like that. It's like, no, you can't go see an R-rated movie. And, the joke was, I mean, my first R-rated experience was when I was almost 13 years old. I went to go see Total Recall, but my mom bought that ticket. So it was one of those things where it's like, oh, that's that's she bought the ticket. She didn't go with me. She ended up going to see Bird on Wire, actually, and a friend of mine and I went to go see Total Recall. But and that was my first R-rated movie experience. So I've always enjoyed that aspect of South Park, and Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Of course, the musicals are brilliant. The musical numbers are brilliant. It's a shame that they didn't. Blame Canada's a great song. It wasn't the best one I would have chosen. I would have chosen like Up There or Uncle Funker. But it's such that musical score is still one of my favorites from that year. It's still a stunning. It's still stunning and ridiculously fun movie. I watched it a couple weeks ago. It still holds up remarkably well. It's one of my favorite movies of the decade, and it's one of the best movies of the decade, quite frankly. I mean, there are films that are more technically accomplished, but because of the satirical points that makes, the way it makes them, and just the sheer entertainment value, that's why Bigger, Longer, and Uncut is the best movie I saw in 1999. And so those are my thoughts, sort of inspired by what they said, which I highly recommend. It was a wonderful episode. And all of the episodes that I've heard them do on the class of 1999 are great. So that's it for me. This is Brian Scuttle from sonic-cinema.com. And thank you for listening and watching this video. And I will be back with more on the class of 99 for our series for Sonic Cinema's series on Class of 1999. I've got a lot of great episodes to share with you.